Understandably, there was a lot of excitement before the Bundesliga got underway this weekend. I understand the excitement. I understand the want for football, desire for football, the need for football, if you want. Nothing says we're getting back on track like shops opening and the football being on. It's part of all of our weekend routines and has been for quite some time now. So a lot of us look forward to the Bundesliga to see, A, can they get it right, but B, and possibly most importantly, give us some escape, give us something to enjoy, entertain us, give us some competitive sport that we've been deprived of. So I understood the build-up. That being said, I spoke to Gio in the week and I said I'm probably not going to watch it. I'm not really interested. The truth be known, aside from West Ham, I'm not the biggest football watcher in the world anyway. And I certainly wouldn't have watched the Bundesliga before, and I wasn't going to watch it this time. But in the end, I decided to, because I just thought, actually, I want to look at what football is going to be like, what the immediate future of watching football on TV is going to look, sound, and smell like. Probably less of the smell, but you get what I'm saying. I wanted to get a feel for it. So I watched, granted, highlights of the Dortmund against Schalke match. Now, possibly it wasn't the best one to watch because in the end what I've seen is not a competitive game. Because I think if you're going to watch these games in a sterile environment, and I mean that both practically and metaphorically, then you're going to want something to distract you from the fact that there are no distractions. Do you know what I mean? The crowd aren't there. The crowd are a massive distraction during a game. Because there are none, what you want is the game itself to be all-consuming, to grab your attention. And I think if it's competitive, that's going to help an awful lot more than somebody being beaten 4-0. That being said, before I talk about what I didn't like, there were things to admire. Thorgan Hazard, for instance, is a very good player. It's easy to admire him. And you look at Haaland up front for Dortmund, and you know that that is a world-class footballer. They're very, very fortunate to have him. If the transfer market gets back up to even half of what it was before, he probably won't be at Dortmund for very long at all. I think from a personal English point of view, I was disappointed not to see Jadon Sancho start. But I went into it perhaps not with an open mind, because I suspected that I wouldn't enjoy it. I went into it wanting to enjoy it more than I thought I would. So I was anticipating it being quiet. I was anticipating it being different, let's say. And I did enjoy the skills of some of the players on display. That was for sure. But did I find it entertaining? I don't think I did. I don't think I looked at it and thought, great, football's back. This is captivating me for the set amount of time that I'm watching the game. It didn't really. Since football's been off the telly, I mean, we've all had to fill our times with different things, haven't we? And realistically, was what I was watching when Dortmund were playing Schalke better than me watching Ozark on Netflix? No, not really. I think I'd be more interested when West Ham play, or even just other Premier League teams. But was it an escape from what, and I speak for myself here, what I've found has made me quite miserable recently, which is lockdown. I didn't realise how much I actually quite liked work. I actually like getting out, being able to go out, go away for the weekend. All of these things that we take for granted that's been going on for so long now, and just to worry about people's safety. Not seeing friends has been massive for me as well. And there's so many things in life where you think, actually, I want the escapism of football. So I've been able to watch a film while this has gone on, and I can escape for the duration that I watch the film. I read a book, I escape from it. I have a go on one of the pinball machines, I escape from it. But I didn't find, and here's my point, that watching football in a closed stadium gave me the escape. I didn't watch it and was captivated and think, I'm thrilled by this. And then when it was over, it's back to how life has become recently. I found the football was reminding me of how crap everything was. So you see the players on the bench separated with the face masks on. But well, that's crap. Look, I understand more than anyone why they have to do it. Right? I mean, absolutely. I understand the social distancing, but you've got to put in mind I'm not somebody that thinks football's ready to go back quite yet. And I think if that's the football we're going to see, I don't think thinks it's ready. I don't know anyway. But I found it quite miserable, if you know what I mean. The goal was scored. I admired the goal. There was one particularly good cross from Thorgan Hazard. Maybe it was Haaland that put that one away. I think it probably was. And there was another one, possibly a fourth goal of the game, where a couple of players played a 1-2. It was a good goal. And I admired the skill factor of the goal. It was really good. But then the celebrations, with them all being distant, again, it reminded me of the reality. It wasn't an escape. I thought, oh, right, yeah. Okay, here we are. Here we are again. As much as I was prepared for the sort of eerie quiet of the sound, you could hear something. So I think there were 200 people or something in the stadium, which were obviously a composition of staff, broadcasters, so on and so forth. But clearly amongst those couple of hundred people who are in there must have been some football fans, because whenever Dortmund were attacking, you could hear, 10 or 15 people being enthusiastic for the attack, for the passage in play. And that was an eerie sound, I've got to be honest with you. 15, 20 people basically saying, yay, come on. Again, I don't think I was quite prepared for it, but once again, it reminded me of the reality of the situation. And I just looked at it, I thought, well, this is the ghost of football past. This is a shadow of football. The kits look the same. Technically, the players look really good. I'd be lying if I said I noticed that players were standing off one another, particularly. With that in mind, I found the whole thing about them being separate on the bench and for separations quite strange. Because I think if you've gone into isolation anyway, and they'd all stayed in hotels, once you've done it, clearly there's a decision to make as a foot player. Go back to football or don't. Stay with your family or go back. The moment you decide to go back, the moment you realise you're going to then be contesting headers, tackling, going to ground, all that sort of thing, it's almost in for a penny, in for a pound. If you've already been playing together, training together and isolated together, why are you just not sat next to each other on a bench? I understand it's a small thing. Why are you not celebrating together? Again, I understand it's a small thing. Well, you haven't been socially distancing, so why socially distance now? If you know what I mean. Yes, I know prolonged contact will probably make you more likely to catch it if you're going to, but the whole premise of getting football back up and running is the fact that their system, the Bundesliga system, is meant to be so safe, so secure, so sanitised that nobody can catch it anyway, right? Isn't that the pledge? I think it probably is. So with that in mind, sitting together on the bench, celebrating, would they have made it seem a whole lot better? No, but I don't think it would have made it seem worse, if that makes any sense at all. Because every time I saw them separate on a bench, it made me think, oh, okay, socially distanced football. Every time I saw them, it was such a big thing was made about them celebrating independently that, again, it reminded me of the reality of the situation. I was like, well, actually, this is not escapism. This is not getting me away from it, and it's not entertaining in a sense. And it's funny because I don't think it's black and white. I do think there are some merits to it. So as I say, I think the skill factor was good. I think it was good to see the players playing. A lot of the players seemed happy, which I think was a really, really good thing to see. I don't think the lack of a competitive match was particularly helpful. We just produced yesterday, if you haven't seen it on our main channel, myself and Gio talking about the last game at Upton Park. It was quite evident when we were filming the video that what a close match that was. Forget the crowd noise and all that for a second. A 3-2 is a humdinger. And I am aware that had I have been watching a 3-2 game that was close and evenly contested and maybe won in the final 5 minutes of the game, it might have been better. But here's the point. Did watching that football match make me escape from the reality of the situation? No, it didn't. Was it mildly entertaining? Yes, it was. But I think from a fascination point of view, would I go back and watch 10 of those Bundesliga games in a row? No. Am I looking forward to next weekend's Bundesliga? Not particularly. And here's why. Because I didn't feel that what I watched, particularly, for want of a better expression, scratched my football itch.